Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to Encounter with Broome County Council of Churches. I'm your host, Talia, and we are talking about Black History Month, the hope for Black History Month. We are so excited to have guest Brenda J. Brown with us. And today we're just going to get into some interesting facts about Black history and what it really has to offer us from what we know about Black history and maybe some things that we don't know about Black history. Welcome, Brenda. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Can you give our viewers and our audience members just a little bit more information about yourself?
Yes, I've been living in Broome County for the past 40 or more years. Mm-hmm. And I come from Los Angeles and Oakland, California. Mm-hmm. And the reason I like to mention those places is this is where I was first introduced to Black history. Mm-hmm. Understanding that that's where I was introduced, I can give you a long list of places that I've lived. But one of the things that's most interesting is wherever I've lived, mm-hmm. I've connected with the Black church. In the Black church, that was my focal point for understanding that as you migrate from place to place to place, you bring your history with you.
Right.
And in bringing my history with me, I was always involved with Black history. And it started in the church, in my college life, my university life. It's like I can't get away from it because once I was introduced to it, mm-hmm. it felt good, it is good, and I want to spread the word.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much that we know about history, and we celebrate it every February. And a lot of people really don't know. They know about history, but they really don't understand why we should celebrate it. Why is it important for not only African American cultures, but all cultures to celebrate Black History Month? Why is that important?
Well, one of the things you have to focus in on is this is American history through the eyes of African Americans. And why do we say through the eyes of African Americans? We say that because we've been excluded out of history. There are times when Black children, you talk to them, they'll say, I didn't know this, we're not taught this. So what I'm saying and what we're trying to do is say, it's not up to the school, it's not up to the community. It starts from home. It starts from your community, social outlets, such as social and religious outlets, such as church, the NAACP, all these organizations, Delta Sigma Theta. This is where it starts, and then from there, we go into the schools. We go into the schools because we want to promote dignity and understanding when it comes to our contribution in history.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, that is such amazing facts. I mean, as an African American woman and just having my family, we don't come together as much as we should. And I mean, there are things that we do talk about as an African American family and even our African American culture, but what are some of the things that we are forgetting, or what are some of the things that we're leaving out to share with our community and share with our families that really should be said or really should be recognized, at least during these months?
Well, what's important to keep in mind with Black history is that there visions that we want people to be left with, but we want to go beneath those visions. We want people to look, let me just give you an example
Absolutely.
Of Muhammad Ali. We want kids to understand, yes, Muhammad Ali was a great fighter, but tell me more. about Muhammad Ali. He started off as Cassius Clay. Understanding Cassius Clay, there was a policeman involved in his life at the gym who recognized that he is somebody. Getting that encouragement from a white policeman, understanding he is Cassius Clay, he is the greatest. He got into the boxing ring, he fought, he won titles. Then it was time for him to go and man up for the war. Mm-hmm. He was a political activist to say, no, I'm not going to go fight. I can do more by recognizing those people haven't done anything to me. So when you look beyond the visual of Muhammad Ali, you get to know him as Cassius Clay. You get to know him. He's from a family. He had a mother, father, brother. As an adult, he was married. He has children. So you learn the whole picture, the whole person. We're not just sticking up an image and say, you need to get to know this image. We want you to know the whole package, the total person, because kids need to know, just because I come from this neighborhood, or just because my parents give me all this support, that means I'm going to be the greatest. No, Muhammad Ali is able to say, from the streets of, you can be the greatest. If it's Kentucky, if it's Georgia, if it's Mississippi, from the streets of, if you get community support, you can be greater than what you started off in life. Mm-hmm. And as a political protester, at first he was looked at as, oh, we don't want to deal with him. Look at what he's doing. But eventually, the community, eventually the state, eventually the feds got into what he was talking about. And Muhammad Ali, through his greatness of being a protester, he's pictured with every president from when he started to when he ended, with President Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. So by teaching Black history, as I said, you get away from the image, you get behind the image. We want kids to know the total person because they also can be great people.
That is amazing that you say that. Is the one thing about Black history is that we see one picture, one vision of who we are and what we've done. But sometimes the media or whoever can portray some of the negative parts. I remember just watching some of the footage back in the civil rights days, and it was so negative. But behind it, you didn't see the community work that was going on. You didn't see the children that were fed in schools. You didn't see some of the outreach, where poor people were getting the support that they needed. Can we talk about, there's one part of it, there's a lot of good in it, but what are some of the things, just in your own personal experience, that you've seen behind the scenes during your history, during your Black history years, as well as learning and through the process? What good have you seen through these organizations or events or acknowledgments?
Well, in 1966, I was living in Oakland, California, and during that time, I was a college student, young wife, young mother, and there was this group, the Black Panther Party, who was protesting police violence. That's no different than what's going on today with Black Lives Matter, trying to understand what's going on with police violence. So in getting involved with that movement, I was behind the scene. I worked in the breakfast program. My son was in activities, so we would go, every kid that came to different community centers would be offered breakfast. These are things that you don't hear that much about, but breakfast programs started from the Black Panther movement in East Oakland and Berkeley, California. So you often see just the face of Huey Newton, Eldridge Cleaver, Kathleen Cleaver, Angela Davis. These were great people, and we needed them, and they needed us, but we all worked together. But often, you don't see the little worker bees behind these people to make it work. And today, there is the 50th anniversary of the Black Panther Party, which when I was in Oakland this past summer, it was just nice to come together with people who remembered where we all started from and how, as educated, as knowledgeable as we have become, we always go back to those roots of working behind the scenes in the community.
Awesome. And guys, we are speaking with Brenda J. Brown. She is a Black History consultant, and we're talking about hope for Black History Month. We are so excited just to bring this segment to the Encounter Show, just to let people know that there's a whole nother side to Black history that we can now explore and really get involved with. And so just continuing our conversation, let's kind of switch it to our youth. The youth of today, I'm like, when I was growing up, you know, my mother always told me, well, you know, you guys don't know anything about, you know, this or this music or that music, or, you know, and in my generation, I'm listening to, you know, things that my kids are involved with, and I'm like, oh my God, Lord, please help this generation. We need prayer and hands on these kids, you know. And the youth, you know, of this generation has gone away. Like, it's almost like they know bits and pieces and parts, but they have gone away. What activities have you been involved with that cultivates our youth, or teaches them about Black history, or gives them some inspiration or hope to know that they are more than what they are given or fed in this generation? Can you expound on that?
I definitely can. And one of the things I would like to start with as I discuss this is that every movement that Black people have been involved with includes music. Mm-hmm. And that music often comes from that deep down spiritual awakening of where we are, where we're going, and what we're doing. So you can't separate yourself from that old-fashioned spiritual music. So from that point, we look at today's young people. And it's not so much that we're placing blame on them for what they don't know. We have to look at our race leaders. What are they doing to engage young people? I know for myself, this was such a beautiful Black History Month for me, because I had young people who were reaching out to me, Miss Brown, what are we doing for Black History, Miss Brown? So that made me feel like, okay, the next generation is ready. In addition to that, we have the Delta Sigma Theta sorority in the community. The president is new to this area from Chicago. Her name is Angela Riley. She came in and did a dynamic youth program this year with the mayor of Binghamton. It was excellent, but she was able to bring that religious or spiritual background. She was able to share it with the kids and went from that point on. In addition to the Deltas, we also have the Delta Academy, which is at the Boys and Girls Club. And that's a program that through Black History, we will be teaching. And this month we have the Black Weather Report. And this is all about Blacks from Tuskegee and how they got involved in the weather. You know, we often think about Tuskegee Airmen, but that had a lot to do with flying and also with weather. Then we have Vivian Brown from the Weather Channel. So Blacks and weather, there's a long history. So that's what we're doing at the Boys and Girls Club this month. In addition to the Deltas, there's also the NAACP, which is trying to get their youth program, youth initiative going. Mm-hmm. So if you reach out to me, Brenda Brown, I'm going to put you in touch with these other groups.
Just let our listeners and viewers know, how can they get in contact with you if they want to get in contact with you regarding any of these events or social gatherings?
You can go to my Facebook page, or you can contact me through Delta, Appalachian Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority.
Absolutely.
And we want you to be involved because our next big event is Juneteenth. And once again, we're looking for young people to get involved. And it's our history from we're free all the way up to where we are today. And we have to be real careful when it comes to engaging kids, because so many kids get discouraged because they believe that Black history is just about I'm a slave, or when we were slave, or the slavery movement. There's more. That's part of our history. That's part of our history that has given us the strength that we have. Yes, our ancestors were slaves, but that's what gave us strength, because they survived it. They survived to tell the story. And now we're here to tell the story.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Well, let's just also talk about the spiritual half of it. I know that just being in church and being in service and being connected, with God, or, a spiritual presence, how has that carried us through our Black history? How has that carried us through everything that you said, through from being in Africa, kings and queens, to being slaves, to coming to America and different parts of the country and continents? How has religion or spirituality really helped us to cultivate and bring us back to a sense of ourselves as an African American culture, African American people?
It's just so important for our race leaders to get out there with us. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about our history. Teach our children. That's what we have to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The pulpit has to be open to more than just preaching. We have to be able to say, this is what we need to do for our young people. We have to be able, let me give you an example. Mm-hmm. There's this Reverend Brown. He takes his congregation from church to the streets. Mm-hmm. From church to the streets is all about recognizing who needs food, who needs a program, how we can help families. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to do. Church can't be all about what we give to our ministers.